What's up, squad? It's your Squid, aka the Anxious Squid, here at Anxious Squid Productions. This is the second video in a whole new idea of videos that I have in regards to just vlogging monthly. My life as an American immigrant, I think, is interesting. That might be hubris, I don't know. But you be the judge, right? Click subscribe, leave a comment. Let's just chat about shit, right? Feels like I have friends when I talk to a camera like this. So I'm kidding, I have friends, we're all good. In today's video, we're going to chat, obviously, about the month of February that just went past. Specifically, we're going to be chatting about the Ukraine and the Ukraine-Russia drama, obviously. You probably guessed that. I want to talk about gender as well, within the context of war and within the context just of existence in general. I want to talk about left versus right and liberalism versus conservatism and how that's a bit different here in America than what I've experienced. I want to talk about the Olympics, and I want to talk about Andrew Yang, fatherhood and purpose in general and stuff. There's a bit of blending across the January video and the February video. Obviously, I only uploaded the January video today. I haven't yet at the time of recording this, but I will, I promise. But yeah, we'll get into it. Obviously, if the boys cry, you know how it works. I'm a parent of a 8-year-old, about to be 8 this weekend, about to be 8. She's at school at the minute. My 7-month-old is literally, I'm looking at him as we speak, Apollo. He's asleep there, and JJ is asleep. Like my 1.5-year-old is asleep in his bedroom. So that's the thing we should discuss as well, their bedroom. They have a bedroom now. It's not my office anymore, filming-wise, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, and reactions are still coming. It's still my office. We're sharing the room. It's a thing. The Ukraine and Russia. I think it was November 2nd when I first said on Instagram. By the way, obviously, these are my Instagram hot takes for the month, right? If you don't follow me on Instagram, this is my Instagram handle. Definitely worth giving me a follow. I post on there 2 or 3 times a day. I interact with literally anyone who interacts with me. That's my go-to platform, you know what I mean, is Instagram. So follow me on that, and you'll get the day-by-day stuff. These are the day-by-day stuffs, the politics things that I've been looking into, or the other things like the podcasts. As I said, with the 2 babies and with me being at home, not being able to work and all that sort of jazz, like I listen to a lot a lot of podcasts. On November 2nd, 2021, right? So what? Nearly 4 months ago, I don't know, I'm not doing maths well in my head. I said there's going to be war. There's going to be war in the Ukraine. Russia's going to fuck with the Ukraine. And I thought it was going to, I thought Biden was stoking the flames. I thought Biden was being a dick to Putin. I thought Biden wanted a war to help his approval ratings because he fucked up Afghanistan and the exit from Afghanistan, if that makes sense. Turns out, now, a month or 2 down the line, I don't think he's going hard enough, you know what I mean? And my perception on things has changed in that regard, you know? I don't understand why Putin has started a land war in Europe. I genuinely don't get his logic. Usually I try and go, yeah, all right, well, you're a dickhead, but at least I can see where you're coming from. I can't see where he's coming from. I understand the context. That space of land, you know, you need the buffer between NATO and whatever his thing is. I understand his perspective in that sense, land-wise and, tactician-wise. He had to make a move because the Ukraine was making a move, you know? They were going to become a part of NATO and all that sort of stuff. So I get it, but it's he's going real fucking hard, and it's real interesting to me that, he's the economic sanctions make perfect sense, and he's going to fuck his country as a result of them. Did he think that people were going to start a land war? No one's, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know what to think about it all collectively and total, but obviously I couldn't do a video on February 2022 without first talking about the Ukraine and Russia in general, and, you know, what we may or may not end up referring to as World War III, you know what I mean? Because it's all the big players and stuff. But we'll see, you know, I don't really know how I've always been a pacifist. I've always been a bit of a, hey, let's chill, let's everyone breathe, try and get through it, let's not fight, you know? I was born in 91. Before I was 10, there were already fucking, wars and terrorist attacks and stuff that we were responding to. This has been my life, you know? This is just one conflict into another. And as an Australian, it's you know, like I wasn't brought up with the whole brouhaha, like, fuck yeah, we're the best, like, something's happening over there, we need to go fucking fix it because we can, you know, like, it's not the same mentality of the, you know, Team America World Police sort of thing. JJ's just waking up, bear with me. Where was I? World Police or something, I think. Yeah, I haven't grown up with the context of, yeah, we're the fucking greatest military in the world, just fucking come and try us, you know what I mean? Like, I haven't had that perspective on things. It's so, you know, I was talking with my best mate the other day. He was saying, like, fucking, like, I don't know what we're waiting for. Like, we could be sending and deploying people and meeting them on the streets of the Ukraine. I don't know what the fuck we're doing. Why aren't we doing that? You know what I mean? And it's like, I'm starting to feel a bit that way. You know what I mean? Like, realistically, like, I've never been warmongery or, like, warish or anything like that. That's not been my intent at any point ever. But the more I'm in America, the more I go, well, fuck, bro, we can do something, you know? Like, it's like Spider-Man, you know what I mean? Like, if you can do something and you don't, you're kind of to blame a little bit. Like, you know, like, and it's interesting to me, you know? And it's like, especially, like, and we'll move on to the gender, like, because it's the gender part of the discussion, because it is all linked, you know what I mean? Once again, I've had a lot of thoughts about gender most of my life. I was raised by a single mum. I have a sister, no brothers. That sort of stuff. Like, I have spent most of my life looking at the topic of gender like, you know, dudes like myself have a fucking, you know, we have a real good run at it, and some people are assholes and some people aren't, but generally speaking, dudes have a fucking easy life, and we should be, like, fucking paying reparations to women. White men especially, you know, like, because it's, you know, intersectionality. We're the fucking, we have everything, and we have everything, but there are no issues that are caused by our specific intersection. You know what I mean? Like, being a white dude doesn't cause any issues, whereas being a black dude because you're black does. Being an Indian dude because you're Indian does, et cetera, you know what I mean? And so it's like, you're not saying, the argument has always been, and that I have always thought, you know, like, you're not, like, privilege, you know how it is, you know the discussion of it, you know what I mean? Like, it's no one is saying that you're better off because you're a white dude, but you are not worse off as a result of your skin color and your gender as a result of those things. They're not something that you have to factor into account, you know what I mean? And yesterday in the Ukraine, they enacted into law, all men, 18 to 60, aged 18 to 60, regardless of anything, no matter what, all men, you cannot leave the country. You have to stay in the country. You have to get a gun. You have to pick up and fight. And, like, I had this moment in my head of, like, I straight up don't ever want to talk about the gender wage gap ever again with any woman in my life at all, ever. You know what I mean? You get paid less because I've got to fucking die in situations like this. JJ's crying. Bear with me. I can't remember where I was at. I can remember I was emotional, though. Gender. That was it. It's getting really frustrating for me to have all of this context and stuff, you know what I mean? And then still have discussions like that. I was talking with my friend about mothering versus fathering, and the importance of the father being in the home, and the importance of the father playing an active role in a child's life. There are, like, you can Google any statistic. Listen to a whole bunch of Andrew Yang podcasts. If you listen to the Forward podcast, basically the last fucking 6 months, he's been focusing on a crisis of purpose amongst men. And especially, you know, like, working class men in countries like America and Australia, where we've outsourced our manufacturing and there is basically no manufacturing industry. There's a shortage of low-skilled labor jobs and all that sort of stuff, you know what I mean? And so it's like, it's low-skilled's the wrong word. You know what I'm saying. There's a shortage of jobs that traditionally men without college degrees would do. And so there is an issue with purpose. And a lot of the time, I think, and I have been thinking, sorry, bud, Dad's being super loud while you're napping right there, isn't he? Like, I think since having sons, I have sort of been looking at my own masculinity and looking at gender in a different perspective, because while I am a man and while I was raised by a single mother, predominantly, like I have a stepdad and I had a stepdad for the second half of my childhood and throughout my adolescence and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, I've always had a very female happy look on gender, you know what I mean? And a very male critical outlook on gender. Whereas, like, I mean, realistically, what's that Bill Burr joke? You guys get paid less because when the Titanic sinks, you get to listen to me drown? Like, or whatever the fucking thing is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's... Like, yeah, there are some shit things about being a woman. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. 100%. I would much rather be a dude than a chick. That whole period nonsense doesn't sound fucking fun. And I saw my wife get cut open twice. That certainly wasn't fucking fun. I can guarantee you that. You know, bits of her skin folded up like an origami crane while their fucking doctors are wrist deep in her fucking human soup, you know? Like, it's fucking... you can have that. You can fuck that shit off real easy. I don't want any of that. But I think that there's a lot of nuance that's fucking just ignored in the gender discussion, you know? Like, in the Ukraine, you're not allowed to leave. Like, I was listening to this queer dude on fucking, in the New York Times daily podcast today. And he was like, yeah, he was gayer than Jack from Will and Grace. You could tell in his fucking voice, right? Like, and if you don't understand that reference, you should watch Will and Grace. It's a good TV show. Or it was when I was growing up. But anyway, dude is gayer than Jack from Will and Grace, and he's talking about the fact that he's been sent away from 3 different, like, cities, borders to try and leave the Ukraine, because he's just, like, he's not a soldier. He is not going to be able to fight. And, like, I get mixed emotions, because I go, you're a fucking pussy, cunt. Like, turn the fuck around and ask someone to teach you. Ask one of the fucking manlier men to teach you how to pull a trigger. Like, you know what? I don't know how to operate a fucking gun either. I guarantee you, if somebody came across the border, I'd ask next door. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'd figure it out. I'd fight with my hands. We'd, like, fucking, you know, and he was talking about, like, he was crying while he was telling this journalist about how, you know, he had 40 or 50 people screaming shame at him and telling him that he should be ashamed of himself and he should go back and fight. And it's, shut up, Cleo. Like, it's conflicting, because it's like, yeah, fucking oath. You're a coward, bro. Go and fight for your fucking family and your country and your fucking whatevers, you know what I mean? Like, but at the same time, why is he got to do that just because he's got a dick? Like, why can't he be a pussy? Like, we have a right to be a pussy, don't we? Like, that's freedom. Yeah, like, we get to choose whether we're going to be a big dick or a little dick in those moments, you know? And because he's a dude, he doesn't get that choice. And so it's frustrating. But I mean, there's a whole bunch of different fucking clusterfucks, you know? Like, at the border, they're not letting black people through. They're not letting, like, they're straight up just go to the back of the line. We're letting Ukrainians through first. Whatever the fuck that means. Like, are there no black Ukrainians? You know what I mean? Like, it all seems absurd. It all seems fucking absurd, and it's all linked together. And again, much like the last video, I don't have all the answers. I'm just ranting at you at this point. But yeah, since having kids, so Ukraine and Russia will sort of move on. Gender will sort of move on. But basically the sum up is, since having kids, since having 2 boys in particular, I've been looking at masculinity and the role of masculinity and the role masculinity plays in society on a different level, you know what I mean, as a father, because I've got to provide an example to them, as well as trying to, like, I owe society, you know, I have a fucking role to play to not let those 2 be like fucking murderers or rapists or just little cunts, you know what I mean? Like I owe society, and I have an agreement with society that I will raise these children well, and I got to try and figure out how to do that within the context of a society, you know what I mean? Because it's like, yeah, absolutely, don't treat women like shit. But also, like, if war comes within your lifetime, you will be expected to do certain things because you are a man. So let's figure out what those expectations are of men and address them. You know what I mean? As a father, that's where my mentality's at in a minute. What's up, squad? Squid from the future here, just jumping in because I was going a bit half-cocked there, wasn't I, right? I was going off a bit half-cocked. I went off a bit half-cocked on Instagram. Same day I recorded it in regards to gender and stuff. And I got a couple of really good messages. One in particular from a woman I respect greatly and one in particular from a non-binary person I respect greatly. So I'm just going to read them to you to offer you the opposite perspective of what I was given at the time. I shared on Instagram a thing that said, this is obviously hyperbole. However, I don't ever want to have a discussion with another woman about the gender pay gap. You get paid less because you're allowed to leave when the country's invaded. Because when the Titanic sinks, you get to sit on a lifeboat and listen to me drown. Because when the world's biggest nuclear power knocks on our front door, I'm expected to fight him off with a stick while you get to run to Poland. All right? And that was obviously, like I said, it was hyperbolic, right? And I will address that in the future, and I'm going to be messaging the people that were messaging me about it and stuff as well. Like, obviously, the nuanced take was not very nuanced, right? She says, actually, we get paid less because we're presumed to care for children and seen as innately nurturing and wanting to be paternally... Well, let me start that. We're presumed to care for children and seen as innately nurturing and to be paternalistically protected, not because of the inherent worth, but because we're seen as the default carers of children, and children are really only protected because they're the future workers. Jules, come on, you know this. And yes, that's correct. Both of those things are problems. Why would we free ourselves from our chains when we can merely compare their length? Like, I get it, I'm a fucking dick for saying, oh, that's not an issue, this is an issue, when they're both issues. I completely understand that. And I got another message where we are. Somebody replied to it saying, women are allowed to flee in times of war because rape is a tool of war. Men made it one. No country wants a generation of kids born of invading soldiers who brutally traumatize their mothers. Now that, I bit back a bit because I was like, well, women aren't the only people that can get raped. And it also seems like, what did I say? It also seems like you're suggesting that the biological implications of childbearing should have an impact on the decisions of society at large when it comes to these things, which, you know, I thought was the antithesis to to gender and intersectionality discussions in general. But yeah, they responded, obviously anyone of any gender can be raped. Women and AFABs tend to overwhelmingly be more often targets for it, as well as have longer term effects, as in children, etc. And yeah, shitting on equal pay to make a point about conscription isn't fucking cool. Ignoring the gendered aspects of why governments would want women out of the line of fire. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. I did. I got a bit ragey and emotional about gender because I was, because of the context that I was going through that day, and it's, yeah, don't worry. I completely understand that gender doesn't exist in a fucking vacuum. I'm not trying to compare men's issues with women's issues. I'm not trying to say men have it harder than women. I'm just saying it'd be nice in the year of our Lord 2022 if we could address some issues that seem to be only affecting men. And I may have addressed that poorly and said that poorly. But anyway, back into the video. Liberal versus conservative and left versus right. This is just a quick one. Like, I don't know what those fucking terms mean anymore. In this country especially. And it's really interesting to me that they're often linked. Like, in America, if you're liberal, you are left wing. And if you are conservative, you are right wing. But I know in Australia, for example, but also in various other countries I've been to and various other cultures that I've integrated with or communicated with and stuff, like you can be a liberal conservative. You can be a left-wing conservative. Sorry, see, I just fucking did it myself there. I just did spending too long in America, you know what I mean? Like, you can be a left-wing conservative. You can be wanting to conserve the fucking, I don't know, let me think of something. Same-sex marriage, now that it's a thing, you know, or Roe versus Wade. Now that Roe versus Wade is a thing, we want to conserve that and we want to make sure that that stays in power, so we're going to fight tooth and nail anyone that tries to fucking move past that point, you know what I mean? And, or conservatism of, like, that's just one example, Roe versus Wade, right? But you can be a lefty who is conservative, and you can be a right-wing person who is liberal, you know what I mean? It's what's that saying that, like, almost every person I hate in politics always fucking says? Socially liberal, economically conservative, or some bullshit like that. Like, I can't remember. It just means I want to be able to do shit for me, but I also want to fuck you over and not, like, have rules. But we'll move past that. I just wanted to mention, like, because I was listening to a podcast today where somebody was talking about Donald Trump and referring to Donald Trump as conservative. And, like, he's just fucking not. Like, he's the antithesis to conservatism, you know? Like, he broke the, like, I'm not a Trump fan. Do not like Trump. In fact, I dislike Trump. There are many more reasons that I could talk, many more things that I could talk about that are negatives about Donald Trump than that are positives, in my opinion. But you got to be batshit crazy if you think that he's conservative. You know, like he's right wing, absolutely, but he's not conservative in it. Like, yeah, we're moving on. The Olympics, storm in a teacup. Everyone thinks the Olympics are going to fucking die out because Beijing was Beijing and all of that sort of jazz. But it's like that was politics. You know what I mean? It was politics. It wasn't sport. And linking it all together, right? The Andrew Yang podcasts I've been listening to talk about a crisis of purpose, about how young men and the jobs that they usually had previously, it's not a thing. We haven't had much purpose. Now that there's going to be another fucking world war, there's going to be a whole bunch of purpose for a bunch of young men who are going to be sent off and killed. And it sucks, but it's also, like, the purpose aspect, it's like, well, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, it's a whole thing. And the Olympics are going to be, like, everyone's going to fucking love the Olympics again because, you know, patriotism, brouhaha, fuck you, we're at war, all sorts of stuff. Like, sport always does better. International sport always does better when there is international conflict. That's just a fact because it breeds contempt and it's a non-violent, generally speaking, way of testing out that contempt. I don't know. Anyway, I've been talking for 20 odd minutes and the last one went for 34. So I'm hoping not to go that long because it took me fucking way too long to edit it and all that sort of stuff. It took me a month and a half. But I want to talk about a couple of things from the Ukraine-Russia stuff that I don't know. I want to have a propaganda at it so that I know that it's not propaganda. You know what I mean? Like, I want to have a fucking, like, you know, like, I mean, that Snake Island thing, the one with the 13 soldiers and the Russian warship was like, yo, this is a Russian warship. We're going to fuck your shit. Like, come out and surrender. And the guy says to his superior officer, well, this is it. Sorry, bud. Says, well, this is it. Like, should I tell him to go fuck himself? And his superior officer says, well, just in case, and turns the volume up to the max. And they say, all right, Russian warship, go fuck yourself, you know? And I'm like, that is the most badass way to go. Like there was a dude who called his mum to let her know that he couldn't, like, there was no way to remotely detonate a bomb to blow up this bridge that they needed to blow up to stop this column of tanks progressing. And so he just went down and blew it up, like, at the thing and blew up with it because he needed to for the bridge. And he called her and let her know and was like, well, you know, such is life. This is what's got to happen. And it's like I don't know, like, it's just fucking, like, I mean, and even not just Ukrainians in Ukraine, you know, like, there's the guy who, I can't remember where it is, but I was listening to it in a podcast this morning. He was working on a yacht. He worked for this fucking super rich dude. He no longer works for him anymore. But he realized while working on the yacht, while it was at the dock, that, and this is like yesterday or the day before or something, so if you haven't heard about it yet, Google it. It's a fucking hilarious story. While working on the yacht, he realized and learned that the yacht and the owner, the person who had employed him, was the CEO of a missile manufacturing company, you know, like I want to say like Lockheed and fucking whatever, or like, what's the other one? Like, is it Lockheed and Martin? I don't know. You know what I'm talking about. Like missile companies, big fuck off Lord of War movie style military fucking weapon company sort of things. He's the CEO of it, and he's fucking he was on his super yacht. And so this guy that realized, a Ukrainian expat working on this yacht somewhere in the West, learnt that the weapons manufacturer guy owned the yacht, and he just sank the fucking yacht. And he told everyone that he worked with on the yacht, he gathered them. He said, this is what I've just done. You guys should get off the boat. I'll take the blame. Perfectly fine with it. Just giving you a heads up. Jesus. This train wreck strain I've been smoking is fucking aptly named. So yeah, anyway, point being, he sinks the yacht, tells the guy, yeah, that was me, and this is why you're a fucking scumbag. And it's stories like that where I go, man, fuck, people are cool, and also uncool, all at the same time, you know? Not a really good month other than that, though. In terms of mental health, things going all right, you know what I mean? Like, they could always be better. I'm bipolar, it is what it is. But, been hanging a lot, going to the dispensary a lot, getting a lot done for the house, which has been good. My wife has been killing it at work. I've been killing it here. Yeah, that's the update, really. That was February, you know what I mean? It was a shorter month. It's my birthday coming up in March, so you're probably seeing this on March 1st or 2nd or 3rd, depending. But my birthday's the 13th, and so I've got no plans as yet. I was thinking about maybe just sort of doing my own thing, and maybe getting a hotel room over the falls or something, you know what I mean? Because I like them so much and I haven't yet. We'll see what we do, you know what I mean? But yeah, let me know. Say happy birthday. Don't forget to say happy birthday on the 13th to me. Feel free to join my Patreon for a month if you want to give me a birthday present of $5 or whatever. What else? It's my kid's birthday this weekend. She's the 6th of March, not the 13th. So she'll be 8, as I said. We're going to have a big party and stuff like that. That'll be fun. I'll tell you about that in the next immigration video. Let me know if you like my shorts and stuff. Not these. I'm wearing like jeans at the minute. Shorts on YouTube. I posted one TikTok. I have posted a TikTok now. I am officially on TikTok. That's my TikTok. I'm never going to post anything exclusive to TikTok. If it's on TikTok, it's on YouTube. So feel free, if you're watching this and thinking, oh, don't worry. You haven't missed anything. It's all here anyway. Trying to update anything else? Any other updates? Anything big else happening in February? I don't know. Ask me some questions, I'll answer them. I think I'm going to get a new tattoo next month. Maybe I'll do that for my birthday, actually. Check out the definition on these. I've been doing, like, push-ups and sit-ups, right? I'm going to see how my back looks in the edit and stuff there. But I've been doing 100 push-ups a day and 100 sit-ups a day because, you know, I mean, it's all linked to the masculinity thing and stuff. You know, I want to be the best man that I can be, to be the best example of manhood that I can be for my boys. And, yeah, I don't know. Like, I know it sounds fucking love-o-y. Like I sound like a fucking, like I'm full of myself. But look at those little curves. Look at those little muscles. I've never had that fucking happen before. It's just been like, you know, like, ooh, yeehaw. All right. Anyway, I'm gonna hit the end recording button now. You guys are great. Thank you for sticking around. I am gonna get back to the reactions real soon and do more reactions and stuff as well. It's just I've got to sit down, I've got to set the lights up, I've got to have the time, and because of my bipolar, I get really frustrated when I'm like trying to do this one thing, and then something happens and I've got to come back to it, and something happens and I'm going to come back to it, you know, like it's a whole fucking thing. But anyway, I've said bye like 8 times now. These are my patrons. I like money. Turning some of yours into mine on a monthly basis would be ideal. Yeah, if you want to give me money, I can spend it on shit then. Most likely weed. Most likely fucking weed. Or my kids. Weed or my kids. That's pretty much all I ever spend my money on. Yeah, I'll see you when I look at you. You'll see me when you look at me. Thanks so much for watching, guys.